Welcome to this session. The session today has the it has the title "A Shared Vision for 2025." We are super honored to have Ravi Chaudhry here with us today. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Fernanda Tor. I'm the Operations Director here at Boards Impact Forum. I will be doing this initial introduction, and we also have with us Liselott Engstam, which is our chair. If you move forward, to give you a bit of the agenda for today. So we have this introduction from both Liselott and myself, and then we are going to listen to Ravi's presentation. After the presentation, we have a poll. We are going to reflect in some questions. We're going to breakout rooms in order to reflect on these questions. Then we reconvene. We share what happened in the breakout rooms, what were our discussions, and then we have a small conclusion. So with us here today, we also have Melissa. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Melissa is going to be facilitating the chat and give you a bit of extra support in case that is needed. So we are going to keep you muted here for the beginning of the session. But the chat box is open, so feel free to go in immediately to the chat box, introduce yourself. As we are listening to the presentations, feel free to post questions, comments, references, just share a bit what are your thoughts. And this webinar is being recorded. So the first part of the webinar is going to be made available. But the discussions, breakout rooms, etc., are not going to be made available. If you have any technical issues, just email us. So we wanted to say a few words about ourselves. Boards Impact Forum is the Nordic chapter from the Climate Governance Initiative, which mobilizes over 33 chapters in 73 countries around the world. So what this network does, it's a collaboration with the World Economic Forum, when we're really trying to push for the World Economic Forum principles for effective climate governance that I'm going to talk about in a second. We started for 4 years now, and we are very proud of our achievements. So we have over 4,000 board directors. We have been doing this work now of kind of analyzing a bit our impact through our board, strategic advisory board, and our board, and the board directors that have attended our trainings. We can quantify that we have a direct impact in over 350 boards, and we've had over 50 events since we started in 2021. At the moment, we have 2 unique training programs. One of them on sustainability we're super proud of. It's an officially certified program from the Climate Governance Initiative. So what we want to do, if you change to the next slide, Liselott, what we want to do is really drive change. We have a super network of boards that we are working with already, and with which we collaborate. We reach 5 countries in the Nordics, so it's above 10,000 board directors. We also have an interesting international reach, and we are actually starting now a campaign to also expand our network of partners. So if you are interested, if you know any organization that would be interested in being our partner, collaborating with us, reach out to us, write it in the chat or send us an email. So if we move forward, as I said before, the Climate Governance Initiative and Boards Impact Forum is based on the 8 principles for effective climate governance. We really encourage everyone to go and check these principles. They're a bit our guiding star. So we look very much into 4 different distinct areas. The board's role, where we look into subject accountability, command, board structure. We look into risk and opportunities, how to balance these 2, for example, with materiality assessment, strategic integration, how we look into objectives, reporting, and incentivization, and also engaging with stakeholders and stakeholder exchange. very, very useful principles that we think that are very relevant. For the session today, we're going to focus mainly on those first three principles related to the board's role. So we are going to be kind of looking into ourselves, the board directors, and how can we be better at this thing of governing. Please, Liselott, take it away.
Thank you so much. So we just wanted to share a message from one of our strategic advisory board members, who is the chair of Siemens, a number of other companies, and he's also a trustee of World Economic Forum. And he just recently, as part of the Davos message, shared his perspective, where we start to really need to look into ourselves and use our guidance, which is also one of the reasons we're are delighted to run this webinar together with you, and feature Ravi to get us into a bit of reflective mode. So there is an urgency to actually take charge, and it will be a lot of the good leaders that will be driving change. And of course, we all know about the geopolitical tensions, the climate change, and the disruption. And it does require systemic innovation. So we can use our businesses, but we also need to collaborate both within the industries and with the societies. It does take courageous leadership. It is not in all cases that boards are known for their courageous leadership, but that is what it will take going forward. And technology will be a really important way for us to make these changes happen. So we'll have to figure out a way to manage that in a positive way. So his message to us is, let 2025 be remembered as the year the world decided to ask, why not? And took the bold and necessary steps towards improving the state of the world for generations to come. We are doing several different surveys, as many of you know, and this is from the one where we are looking at leading sustainable organizations in disruptive times. And within the question, strategize long-term vision and purpose as a base for a pivot, you can see that we still have quite a long way to go for the boards to be involved in strategy and ensure that we keep adapting our strategy to a sustainable and AI-driven world. The other thing, which I know Ravi will come back to, is that we have challenges in creating hope, and hope is actually a leadership skill. And we really need to figure out how we take ourselves, our businesses, and our world into a better place. And be really clear that it is doable, because if we do it jointly, it is doable. This is from the survey on board dilemmas on accountability. And here we can see that we have a mixed view on how we build trust and transparency in the board. And I think that is also something that we will have to consider as part of the purpose of the board. And then if we are actually able to underpin our own purpose with how we guide the company and the board, and we still are maturing in that area. So this gives me the fantastic opportunity to introduce Ravi Chaudhry. So Ravi and I know each other for maybe 5-7 years back, from different settings. And Ravi, He's an author, he's a leadership mentor, entrepreneur, thought leader, and he's an advisor to corporate boards and governments around the world. So he is the founder and chairman of CNext Consulting. He's a former chairman of Tata Group companies. And he's also a member of World Economic Forum's community of climate governance expert. One of the things Ravi has done is to actually put his thoughts and findings into a new book, which is called Capitalism to Peopleism. And part of what he will be sharing will be based on that. So I leave it over and welcome Ravi to share with us your perspective. Welcome, Ravi.
Thank you very much indeed for the kind words and for the privilege to speak to such an esteemed, illustrious group of business leaders. I am looking forward to exchanging perspectives and learning a lot from this dialogue that we have today. We are set now with my presentation here. Now,
Perfect.
it's okay. Well, my new book, Capitalism to Peopleism, has been my companion in manuscript for the last 7 years. And the book is an outcome of my lifelong learnings on all aspects of leadership. This is a non-fiction book, but it has three main characters, three main actors: the leaders in business and politics, the world we live in, and we the people. Each is a product of the other two and impacts the other two. I'll begin with an overview of each of the actors, and then we'll together discover a supporting cast that is transforming these three actors. First, what is a leader? What makes one a leader? And I want to begin by saying that leader is a person whose thoughts, words, and decisions to act or not to act have a discernible impact on the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of a large number of people around her, as well as on the trajectory of their future lives and livelihoods. And this we'll keep in mind as we go along. My next question is, what is the single biggest leadership challenge today? There are decades when nothing happened, and then there are weeks when decades happen. Starting with COVID, stubborn inflation, wars in Ukraine and Gaza, rampant inequality, climate risks, the perils of artificial intelligence, and now the unpredictable geopolitics. It's a reminiscent situation of what Henry Kissinger once said: there can't be another crisis. My agenda is already full. I'm sure we all feel the same. These events are not accidents or random acts of nature, but more a reprimand to the human race for the collective misdeeds of the past. Virtually everything around us has changed, but our past beliefs and prejudices stay with us, which makes it very difficult to distinguish between overconfidence and ignorance. We thought we know the answers to every question. We are not realizing that all the questions have changed. We think we are learning all the time, yet we don't change. Let me share an ordinary experience. I made myself a cup of coffee a little while ago and added a little sugar. But when I sipped it, it wasn't sweet. Since I hadn't stirred the coffee, the sugar didn't get absorbed. Change happens only when learning is absorbed. What the leaders know continues to be an impediment in being open to what they don't know. Most leaders are unknowingly locked up in the echo chambers of like-minded colleagues and self-confirming news media, where their beliefs are seldom challenged. Therefore, I wish to submit that the biggest leadership challenge today is the inability to understand reality, which means inability to ask the right questions, which results in the inability to make the right choices. Often, it is compounded by the unwillingness to even face the reality. The next question: what is the state of the world we live in? It doesn't need much analysis to realize that in most of the world, the ways of doing business and governing nations are now dysfunctional. We have more wealth and more advanced technologies than ever before. Yet 70% of the global population holds only 3% of wealth, while the top 1% own over half the wealth. This is not just inequality, it's an economic apartheid, a systemic suppression of human flourishing on a global scale. We treat nature as a freely expendable resource and continue plundering it for short-term greed. It's not just indifference. It's a proactive complicity in what is perhaps humanity's greatest self-inflicted wound. Our leaders are shackled by outdated beliefs and steered by compasses that have lost their true north. The result is for all to see. In the last 25 years, not a single global problem has been resolved, and new ones keep coming up all the time. Democracy, in effect, has become a government of the elite, by the elite, and for the elite. We stand on the brink of disaster. Where does it leave the third actor, we the people? Globally, 9% of us live in extreme poverty on less than $2.25 a day. 2 billion don't have access to clean water at home. 20% of world population lacks adequate housing. 1 million people are homeless every night in European Union and UK. Close to 1,800,000 people live without housing in USA, and 35 people die every day because they are homeless. For 50% of the world population living on less than $6.85 a day, the outlook is grim. The situation is dismal. Let's explore how the world functions. Every human endeavor, including every corporation, requires three equally vital components: capital, people, and nature. Today, capital dominates. People and nature are helplessly subservient to owners of capital. It's undeniable that capitalists play an important part in the life of our planet. Worthy capitalists are a nation's asset. 90% of them who run small and medium enterprises are lifeline of economy and the prime source of creating employment. We need them. They don't abuse the system. But there are many unworthy capitalists. They use the power of money to buy democracy, to influence governments to do their bidding, and tacitly control media, regulators, and even, if I may whisper, the judiciary. For all practical purposes, they have made capitalism as unreformable. It's virtually on a path to self-destruction. If unworthy capitalists transform themselves, the democracies in name will start functioning as democracies should. A government for all people, not merely for a few people and by a few people. Let me clarify. It's not about philanthropy. It's about empowering unworthy capitalists to self-correct so that they can continue to be in power longer. This means every capitalist for success hereafter will need to be a peopleist and a naturist. Every entrepreneur will respect all people and protect all nature. Now, where is the solution? What do we do? The solution actually lies in my book, The Capitalism to Peopleism. Which peopleism is an operating system of governance with three distinct attributes. The primacy of profit in an enterprise will gate to predominance of people and respect for nature. Profit is necessary, but maximization of profit with callous disregard for people and nature will not be acceptable. And this transformation will be enforced by enlightened consumers, employees, women, and youth. Second, peopleism will evolve an economics that works for all, unveiling a surge-up development structure and discarding the myth of trickle-down policies. Today, the entire social pyramid is inverted, except perhaps in the Nordic nations. A middle-class American pays a tax of 37%, while the richest 25 Americans paid only 3.4%. They get tax rebates on dividends and capital gains. The ease with which, and this is the most important point, corporations and rich dividends use tax havens is outrageous. The world loses $480 billion to global tax abuse every year. Peopleism will be setting that right. And the nations hereafter will be rated not on the per capita growth of the entire population, but the per capita growth of the less well-off 80% of the population. This index alone can determine how sustainable development goals are being met or not being met. I have tried long enough with many organizations, United Nations, World Bank. Why can't we do this simple calculation? It's not difficult. Why are we involved with averages when the top 1% hold half the wealth in virtually every country? So peopleism will usher in a genuine, unfractured democracy built with 4 pillars: equity, sustainability, transparency, and justice. It will restore citizenship to every citizen in every country with equality before the law and equality in opportunity. Impacts Board Forum, Board Impact Forum have created a modified version of the 8 commitments which I had listed. They are already with you. I will not go through them except make a few observations which are marked in blue. We have only 2 options, either green future or no future. Truth cannot be a victim of media. It's the purpose of media. When every woman is empowered, entire humanity will be empowered. I've chosen these 3. I think they'll drive everything else. So while capitalism prevailed as the dominant economic idea of the 20th century, peopleism will emerge as the viable new economic architecture for the 21st century, when every individual will matter. I was wondering, I think I will temporarily close the sharing for a moment so that we can relate to each other a little more personally. Now, what I have said so far sounds good, but good things don't happen. Why will capitalists change? I'll explain why this change is unstoppable. We look at the panoramic arc of history, the story of civilization in 3 minutes, how humans have progressed and regressed over the 5 stages of economic progression. Stage 1 was hunter-gatherers economy. Homo erectus appeared 2 million years ago. Homo sapiens 300,000 years ago. This was Stone Age, when the skill of speech evolved and fire was discovered. Agricultural economy took shape 12,000 years ago, when humans started sowing seeds and tamed animals. Industrial economy started in 13th century, driven by scientific inventions. Owners of machinery and commerce became the new elite that initiated capitalism, followed by imperialism, wars to annex new markets, and revolutions emerging from such wars. The experiment of socialism in Russia was a corollary of the Industrial Revolution. The masses felt they were being exploited. They have the same feelings today. Development of internet and personal computers marked the onset of stage 4, information economy. Soon it became a challenge to process the data into nuggets of knowledge, because information is always information. Thus began the 4th big transformation to stage 5, the knowledge economy, shaped by power of cutting-edge technologies and connectivity. That created 2 dilemmas. Those who have knowledge don't have power, and those who have power don't have knowledge. Sometimes people with power have knowledge, but they don't share. Each transformation was a defining moment in human history, a watershed moment, a divider in time and space beyond which the things that mattered till then are not the same again. It's a moment when history ceases to determine our future and we embark on a new era of norms, values, and governance. Or it's a little Takes a little longer, sorry. So this is a summary of the watershed moments that we have gone through, and the fifth watershed moment we are entering. And it's very essential to pause over it as we now come to the main issues which have been raised. We have been used to incremental change so far. This won't suffice. This is a time for transformational change, for three big leaps. We have spoken about two leaps already: capitalism to peopleism, and transformation to an economics that works for all. We'll now look at the third leap: wisdom leadership, a leap from knowledge to wisdom. That's what we are talking about here. Now, to do that, we need to understand the difference between knowledge and wisdom. An old proverb explains it all. Knowledge without wisdom is like water in the sand. Devoid of wisdom, knowledge seeps through grains of sand, but no traces are left. Knowledge doesn't have space or a provision for ethics. Wisdom is anchored on non-negotiable ethics. Knowledge gives one intelligence, the ability to analyze on chosen facts. Truth is not a focus of knowledge. Wisdom gives you access to your conscience, the most significant discovery in the human kingdom, the ever-present inner light that always tells you what's right and what's wrong. A wise person naturally develops the sixth sense to listen to her conscience. In the new wisdom economy, the leaders will be determined by three traits. I call it the ABC of wisdom leadership: awareness of the three dimensions, which comprise awareness of one's inner strengths and wisdom, awareness of the impact of every decision we make on everywhere around us, and awareness of the human capabilities, including the perils and potential of technology. The second trait will be bridge building, bridges of understanding and connectedness. We do bridge building all the time, but we refuse to build bridges with those who we think don't agree with us. And third, compassion. For wisdom leaders, therefore, responsible leadership, and I'm reading it here, is not just being responsible for what we do, but also for what we don't do. Being held responsible for not just we say, but also for what we don't say. This leads me now to the last two slides, focusing on the basic objective of our dialogue today. I've been conducting forced dialogues with board directors and senior leaders in several countries for many decades. Invariably, the attendees say they feel inspired and empowered. I started checking up the real impact of these sessions. This is what I found. People go home with takeaways, but takeaways have a short life. They must go home with convictions. One man's convictions don't carry much weight. The entire leadership team and the entire corporate board needs to be on the same plateau with somewhat similar beliefs. When I observe the boards and the leadership teams in action, I find a facade of concurrence. There is a conversation, but it's among people who hold identical views. I sense people having courage to agree when one has reservations, but I haven't come across courage to disagree when one has reservations. I found individual talent and wisdom is not in short supply, but collective talent and wisdom is scarce. And that's the biggest challenge before board leadership. We often fail to see or choose not to see the interrelationship of the issues before us. You cannot speak of human rights if you have doubts about diversity. You can never have justice if you don't have gender equality. You can't talk of sustainability if you keep waging wars. To stop wars, you need to win peace. You can't talk of governance if you spend half your time dressing up fiction as truth. In short, you can't be partially good. You can't be partially responsible. Purpose is a consequence of the values one has. You live your purpose. Purpose is not meant to generate some consequences. No. The purpose is the lighthouse which guides your thoughts and every action. Not when you are in stress or not doing well, but all the time, more so when you are doing well. It evolves from your non-negotiable beliefs. Purpose doesn't change with trends. If you have a purpose, you will change the trends to align with the purpose. So this is my new life mission. I now help corporations to focus on things that matter. I work with them as one of them in whole teams or in small groups to generate these results. And I think it's necessary for each board to have people with different perspectives so that they can listen to them with their eyes and realize if they need to change any of their beliefs and perceptions. There is a need to decipher between what they consider priority issues versus what the priority issues should be. Your future will be steered by the conscious choices you make today. Every question doesn't have an answer, it's only choices. One doesn't have to defend a stand which one took a few years ago, last year, or even yesterday. There's a famous quote, "When facts change, what do you do, sir?" Well, I change my views. These are the generic issues, but then each institution, each organization need to also look at if the supportive structure, is there enough level of trust in the organization? How is the quality of conversation at the workplace, future readiness, and several other aspects which are typically specific to each company. And I also want to promote responsible entrepreneurship. It's to peopleism, responsible entrepreneurship is to peopleism what entrepreneurship is to capitalism. It's not about making less money. It's about feeling responsible and fully accountable that the money being made is neither at the cost of nature nor any part of society. I'm rooting for a youth-led movement with the mission, be responsibly profitable. And here is the magic of 12 precious words, which every board member needs to ponder over and create their own magic words. I believe in myself. This arises only from ABC traits: awareness, bridge building, and compassion. You should be able to say, I believe in you. This reflects trust and transparency. And then together, everyone should be able to say, I believe in us. That mirrors alignment and accountability. we keep talking about risks. World Economic Forum reports how many articles have been written. But what are those risks? These are I factors. These are common information. Everybody knows about them. The only thing is they give different percentages. We need to start looking at T factors in our working today. What are the transformational factors? And I spoke about some of the transformational factors. I mean, take, for example, the belief that the strong will always remain strong. No. What we saw yesterday, DeepSeek has already created an overnight revolution in thinking on the future of AI. But let's have a discussion and let's look at the case of peopleism as a system to ensure the well-being of the planet and the people. Thank you very much. Have a great day every day, and I look forward to lots of questions and challenges to whatever I have said. Please don't accept it as it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ravi. Very insightful and very somewhat challenging, because it makes you really reflect on your own. What I thought we would start with is actually having the poll, so everybody can get up from their chairs. So I've launched the poll. Can you see it? Right. So there's 3 questions in the poll. And the question is, since things are changing so much, we need to reflect and readjust our own purpose, our board's purpose, and our company purpose. And these are the 3 questions. So have we reflected on our own role and purpose? Have we reflected on the board's role and purpose, our joint purpose, and have we reflected on the company's purpose? And of course, everybody does it at least as part of a strategy revisit for the company. So the question is really, have we done it lately? And have we done it also for both ourselves and the boards? So we'll wait for another couple of seconds for people to answer. And okay. Very good. So we will end the poll in 3 seconds. Okay. And here is the result. So if you look at this, Ravi, can you see the result?
Yes.
So first you see the result of the people. So they are quite strong in their own position, I would say, comparingly. What do you think?
They are saying that my values and purpose must be modified under pressure. I don't agree. Values are non-negotiable. Purpose is a lighthouse. These can't be altered. Purpose is how you live.
Yeah, I think the message, the thing they've answered is that it rather helps. Have you reflected enough so that it can help you under pressure, not that it can change, but actually that it guides your decisions.
Okay, then I get the point.
Yeah.
So long as we make it clear that these are non-negotiable and we'll act and modify our actions.
Yeah.
As we go along, modify our decisions as we go along.
Yeah. And if you scroll in that little window, you will see the next one. So have we done it with our boards? And I think the result is pretty interesting, isn't it? Have we agreed on a joint reason with the board and joint values? And maybe we should look at the last one, number 3 as well. So have we revisited the company's purpose? I think that is pretty interesting. I would expect actually that people who join this webinar would have a strong conviction, a strong integrity. So the question then really becomes, how do we make that challenge? Before we go into the breakout rooms, is it anybody that has any questions or viewpoints that you would like to share? And I'm kind of thinking that I was thinking, I saw Christina Lilja, you're here, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So you are one of my role models in actually working with trust. So what is your reflection when you see this thing around that you actually have kind of fermented, you started to ferment it for yourself, but what with the results you can see on the boards and the company? What's your perspective? Are you still there?
I think I think we lost her.
Okay.
Probably some connection problems.
Okay.
It's a cliffhanger for
It's very
the
much a
breakout rooms.
cliffhanger. So I think what we will do then is go to the next point, which will be to actually reflect on these insights in breakout rooms. So agree a chair to lead and a vice chair to report back. Make sure you introduce yourself. This is also a networking event. It's Chatham rules in the meeting rooms. So you can share, but you can't share who said what exactly in details. This is also not the part that we will share externally. So the question to discuss is, how can our board align purpose and business for the challenges of 2025? So how will we actually try to influence that and work with that? And how can we strengthen our own individual purpose and role and each other as a team, as a group? So that is what we're going to discuss. And let me see if I can see that we have, I think I just need to reassign people a bit here. Let me see. I think we have about the right number in each room. So if you don't want to be part of that discussion, can you leave us now so that we make some good discussions going? And let me see. We have now, so I'll have to move people a bit. So let me see. Okay. So I'm going to open the room. So we'll have about 15 minutes to discuss that. Ravi, you have now heard a bit of the feedback and you also been part of it. Can you share your reflection on this?
Thank you very much. I found all the comments very valid and well thought out, and represent the practical issues which in the day-to-day operations every board faces. If I would make a few quick comments, I find that the discussions which take place get satisfied with incrementalism. The point which I often try and make very, very frequently unsuccessfully though, that the era of incrementalism is over. Nobody ever thought of passing a big chasm in 2 jumps. You can't do it. So we need transformational thinking. To climb the next step in the ladder, you have to give up where you are standing. You can't progress unless you are willing to substantively dissociate from what has been going on. Now, even if it's done, my grandson, when I was explaining this to him, he reminded me of what he learned from Yoda in Star Wars.
All right.
And I've quoted him in my book also. He said, look, he's telling to people who are hoping for defeating an evil empire. And he tells them, don't fall back on old habits and safe assumptions. If you are going to make a difference, you must fully commit to the new. Do or do not. There is no try. We are in that moment in our history today. Nobody ever imagined 6 months or 1 week before when a revolution took place anywhere in the world, whether it was in UK or France or Russia. It brims. Today, the things are brimming. And we owe it to ourselves that we don't get caught unawares. In our group discussion, a very important point came up. The choice before us is today, yes, you have to sacrifice a little bit of a profit now. You can't say, I must make more profit and do this. No, there's no way. You have to sacrifice some profit, change some parameters transformationally, but you will live longer, much longer. So that's an equation one has to do. And routine is the enemy of transformation. I think I love when Keith Wander made a very comment that we are busy giving signatory powers to others. And there's a lot of discussion on those things because people feel they are contributing.
Yeah.
They are contributing to inertia. People think, oh, why do we have to be the first to do it? We'll do it after others have done. There is no time to succeed if you want to be the last man standing. It won't work. There was a question on capitalism, socialism, and communism. Actually, there is no socialism in the world anywhere. China is as capitalist as the United States. And so is every country in the world. I would say that when the Berlin Wall fell, Francis Fukuyama wrote the book, End of History. And we really haven't seen socialism and communism after that anywhere, except perhaps in North Korea. Even Cuba has changed.
So
last week, there was an article saying end of progress based on Trump's policies. Today, I will add to that, it's end of capitalism. Not the end of capitalists, but capitalism as it is followed today needs to undergo a change. And I leave this thought. Thank you very much. It has been a great, great session. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this and everybody for the fantastic engagement. I will leave it over to Fernanda to wrap it up.
Super, super. Thank you so much. We just want to let you know what is coming up next so that you can save it in your calendars. So on February 24th, we are going to have a little romantic date ourselves, where we are going to be talking about kind of board processes, transition, and we have a very exciting ESG board game also.
And can I just interrupt? I think it's February 14th.
Did I say February 24th again?
Yes.
My brain keeps making that mistake. It says 14 and I said
Yeah.
24th. Okay,
You want to
14th.
leave time for Valentine's Day celebration on the 14th,
Therefore,
right?
exactly. Thank you so much, Liselot. Super exciting event on the 7th of March. Also, we're going to be looking into ecosystems. So please join us for our events. On the 12th of February, there's also an interesting event from CGI on sustainable finance. That you can also find the connection in our website. So please join us for the upcoming events. And we want to send a very, very, very big thank you to Ravi Chaudhry for being with us today. Amazing session. Thank you so much for everyone out there. Thank you for our partners that have been supporting our work, and looking forward to hear from you also in case you want to join us in this journey and become our partners. Wishing you all a great day.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Bye.
All good
Thank you,
wishes.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much.